Okay. Let's see if we can get this to work because Blackmagic Camera was not too happy last time I tried to do a live stream. Obviously, we're going to wait a little bit until everybody gets in and gets happy, and then we'll start answering questions. I think it's working though. I think it's loading up on that camera. Good. Hopefully, we're in sync. If not, dang it. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the stream. Okay, it is working. Hey! Merry Christmas Eve! Or Merry Christmas, everybody, depending on where you are in the world. Happy to do one last final YouTube stream for the decade. Okay? No more YouTube live streams or Twitch streams for the rest of the entire decade. But, you know, after that, sure. Once we're in the roaring 20s again, we will keep going. But I want to let everybody get into the chat room before I start answering questions. That way, hopefully, I don't have to repeat myself too much. I know I'm going to end up repeating myself. If you plan on watching the whole stream, just, you know, get ready for that. But it happens. Anyway, thank you, everybody, for joining in. How's it going? Hey, Randy's in the chat. Dashing through the no. Why the no, Randy? What's with that negativity? How dare he? That mint shirt, though. Hey, someone pointed it out. Zambi952. Yes, I got my I got a giant mint loot box in the mail today. Which, if you guys want to see the rest of the things they sent me, because I'm a complete and total sellout, despite them not sending me any money. No, all jokes aside, I'm very grateful. They decided to send me a Christmas gift, which was cool. Quick question, I would like to donate OnePlus 7T to you. How do I do that? Probably best way to do that is to go... what is the best way to do that? Probably, no, that's not a good way to do it. Don't worry about it. I don't need the OnePlus 7T. Don't worry about it yet. Keep it for yourself. Or find someone who's in need of a phone and send it to them, because I don't think I would do much with the 7T. But I was going to say, probably tag me on Twitter, and then I'll DM you, and then you can PayPal me the money, and I'll buy it or something like that. But not important. I don't need a OnePlus 7T. Buy it for someone who's needed. What are you wanting for Christmas? I don't want a lot for Christmas. No, I will stop singing. That's the first thing I'll do. I would also love to just take some time off, because I hate using the terminology burnout. But, you know, after a few months of just kind of nonstop YouTube work, everybody gets a little tired here and there. So I think it's healthy for any creator to take breaks, though it's a pet peeve of mine for creators to just kind of disappear and not say why they're leaving or anything. So, yeah, I mean, it's not a big reveal or anything. I'm going to be out for a little while visiting family throughout the holiday period, and I have scheduled lots of videos in advance for you guys. I think I've made 9 or 10. They're going to come out while I'm gone. So there may be a couple days where you don't get any content, but for the most part, expect it on weekdays. That's kind of how I scheduled it out. So I don't think while I'm gone for the next couple weeks, you're going to get any videos on weekends. But most weekdays you will be getting videos starting on the 26th. There will not be a video tomorrow, and that is intentional. That's because it is Christmas Day, and I think it would be better if everybody just, enjoyed Christmas with their families. I don't want you on YouTube. I don't even want you watching me, although there's probably a bunch of you that are going to anyway. But either way, I didn't want to upload a video on Christmas Day. But every weekday after Christmas, there should be something coming out while I'm away. Which took a lot of work, mind you. I think it's very easy to overlook that. People are just like, he just made some videos in advance. It is tough, because a lot of the videos I talk about on a daily basis are news related for that day. Okay, so it's really, really difficult to pick topics. Like, it took me over a month to make all these videos in advance, because not only am I still uploading videos on the daily basis, but I'm also trying to find videos that's like, oh yeah, I can upload that at any time and it won't be as time sensitive. But I just wanted to make sure that the channel still remained fairly active while I was away. I could not make every channel active across the Tailosub network, but the tech one's the biggest, so I tried to prioritize that one. There's a couple videos that'll come out on the EV channel while I'm out and away. You're not burn out, you're burn in. Sure, I guess, Ruby. Thank you for the super chat. Is Tailosub Film Reviews making a The Rise of Skywalker review video? Yes, we're going to get to that. We haven't filmed it yet because everybody's very much preoccupied with the holidays. Probably not going to see that until next year, so do expect us to be quite late to the topic. But yeah, eventually we will get there. B Rabbit Super Chat. It says, which tablet should I get? iPad or Tab S6? Help me. Well, let's see. Since you've contacted the Apple Sheep for tablet advice, I think the answer's pretty obvious. Go with the Tab S6. Clearly, you're going to get way more updates with Android. I know Android is vastly better on a tablet than iPad OS, so clearly that's the better option. What are you going to do on Christmas? Just spend time with the family, doing our normal tradition of making lefse, which is a Swedish tradition in my family, and spend the whole day probably watching A Christmas Story, of course, giving each other gifts, and in a couple hours I'll be going to a Christmas Eve party at my mom's side of the family. So I just got back from my wife's side of the family, spending time with them. It's just been a very family-packed holiday for all of us, so yeah. Which iPhone should I get for under $600 used? Ooh, under 600 used. That's a tough one. What can you get for under 600? Is it the 10R 600 new? Just get it like a refurbished 10R or something. I thought you could get the 10R. Get the Apple Card. Get the Apple Card really quick. Use the 6% cash back to lower almost take off the sales tax on a 10R new and get a brand new 10R from Apple. Problem solved. Are you Swedish? Not like 100% Swedish. I'm like heavily Swedish in my heritage. I've never been there. I was born in America, but yeah, a lot of my family is Swedish. But wait for iPhone 9 or SE2. Well, that's significantly lower than 600. I bet you could get a better phone than that for under 600. When are the new iMacs coming? I know, right? I want that. I want new iMacs to come out. I want thinner bezels. I want that redesign, please, because we've gone an entire decade with iMacs looking almost identical from the front, and that's too long. B-Rabbit super chatted again. S11 thoughts? It doesn't seem like it's going to be a major upgrade. I'm a little concerned that the screens are going to be a tad too tall, which kind of annoys me. I'll try one out. I'm pretty confident that when it comes out, I'll get one and give you my impressions on it. But that's about it. I don't have too many thoughts. I'm not like incredibly excited or whatever for the S11. I'm just kind of like, okay, be a good phone. Hopefully it's a decent camera. We'll see. What software are you using to stream from a real camera? This is just standard OBS. It is free. It works on Windows or Mac. And I'm using the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, which is the same camera I've recorded a ton of my videos on. Luckily, it has a direct HDMI output port on it. So that cable goes directly into my Mac Mini, which I have set up right here. If you want to see my desk setup, make sure to check out Taylosive Talks on YouTube, and we have some behind-the-scenes stuff. You can see what my setup looks like and everything. But yeah, love this camera. I love that I can live stream from it. Very simple, usually. Sometimes there's technical difficulties, but typically it's OBS. What lens? It's Micro Four Thirds Rokinon 21 millimeter, and I think it's an aperture of 1.4. So it's a good lens, good camera. Very happy with it. Not that expensive in the grand scheme of high-end video cameras, to be honest. I think it was like a $1,500 setup in total, but I sure get the use out of it because I've used this camera a ton, and I love being able to live stream from it. But will you make more Ericsson videos? So Eli, the important thing to remember about the Ericsson's channel is that I was not the editor for that. Anything I edit or create goes on Taylosive. My wife wanted to make a few videos for the Ericsson's channel, and she's been busy with work and busy with other things, and I wouldn't count on more content coming to the Ericssons, but there are lots of vlogs that are going to consist of Ericssons in it that will all be on Taylosive Talks. So if my wife at some point wants to upload more videos to Ericssons, then you will see them. But no, all the content I create will go on the Taylosive network. Let's see. B-Rabbit super chatted, says, take care. I know you were paid off by the government. Thank you, B-Rabbit. That's correct. The federal government sends me billions of dollars a year. And Mint Mobile likes to send me merch. Shop Clever. I'm selling out. I don't get anything if you try to buy merch from them. But they sent me this lovely box. They sent me a bunch of stuff. So I will shamelessly plug them because I like Mint Mobile so far. So I will just continue to put on more Mint throughout the live stream. What is your second most favorite phone? The iPhone 11 Pro. My first would be the 11 Pro Max. Okay. O2O's Ahutu super chatted. Final Cut versus Premiere Pro versus Resolve. Plus, what are your thoughts on eBay iPhone secondhand purchase? I've not used much eBay because I just feel like the whole site's fairly sketchy, but I've heard more recently that it's pretty well protected now. There's less scamming that goes on than there used to be. So I guess you can do that. I just have very little experience with it, so you're not going to get much personal experience feedback from me. Between all those, I personally have found the best software optimization with Final Cut, which I also think DaVinci Resolve is the cheapest. My sister uses DaVinci Resolve, and that's I think I think it's free. That's from Blackmagic, right? I have not used it myself, but I've heard good things about it. But my guess is that Final Cut Pro still probably takes better advantage of your GPU than DaVinci Resolve does, just because it's designed by Apple directly. Whereas Premiere Pro, I recommend to very few people. If you're on a Mac, I would not recommend getting Adobe Premiere because there's just so many better alternatives for a lot cheaper. If you're on Windows, maybe, because you're not going to get Final Cut on Windows. So I don't know. But personally, I used Adobe Premiere Pro for 6 years. And the last 2 years of that experience were just terrible. The software optimization of Adobe was trash compared to what Final Cut could do. And the expense of Premiere Pro, they reel you in when you're young. You know, when you're on a student discount or whatever, it's like, oh, it's only $20 a month to get the Creative Cloud. It's not that bad. So they reel you in a little bit more, and then it's like, okay, now you're not a student anymore. Now it's $30 a month, and you're like, okay, I use it a lot. So they reel you in a little bit more, and then after that, I was using Premiere Pro for a long time, and eventually they just said we're now going to increase it to $50 a month for Creative Cloud. And I was like, 50 a month? What's changing? Am I getting anything out of it? And they were like, no, you've just been subscribed for a long time, so we're going to up it to 50. And I was like, no thanks. I don't want it that bad. You know, there was some handy things about Adobe, but not $50 a month handy. So that's, I think, like $600 a year, which means that you're paying for Final Cut Pro every 6 months. That's what Adobe Creative Cloud is worth. So I'm not a big fan of them. I know that there's a lot of things people can't do with alternatives, but you know who you are, so there's no convincing you. But if you're torn between them, I would heavily suggest not leaning too close to Adobe because that's going to be the most expensive one. And in my experience, their software optimization was not good. Way slower exports, way glitchier software than Final Cut. So I'm a big fan of Final Cut Pro. I've been using that for the past few years. Optimization is wonderful. I can export things very quickly and barely even hear the fans kick in. And you only have to buy it once, and you get updates for life, which is pretty sweet, which I'm a big fan of. Is the iMac Pro your main editing computer? Yes, it still is. It's right behind me. It's turned off right now, but I've been using that thing for almost 2 years. What day is it? Yeah. So I unboxed that iMac Pro December 27th, 2017. So we're almost exactly on 2 years, and it's been fantastic. I've had next to no issues with it. There's been a few software bugs I've had along the process, but that was typically when I was running beta software on it, which I don't do anymore. And no hardware related issues with it. The speakers are fantastic, the display's great, the export times have been wonderful. It's actually faster now than it was 2 years ago because of optimization with the software. So yeah, I have very little complaints with the iMac Pro. Been wonderful. Someone super chatted earlier, but I don't think they said anything. Let me check up on that. Yeah. No name super chatted, but I don't see a message from them. But I appreciate the dono. Thank you. Talk about Apple ARM Macs. Well, we've talked about them in the past. There's not much. There's not much that's been updated since the last video I did on them. But I guess I hope they come out in 2020. We'll see. Oh, Chris super chatted. What did he say? Did you keep the 16-inch MacBook Pro? If not, why? No, I did not keep it because I did not need it. Basically, I wanted to test it out and review it because I've pretty much reviewed fairly extensively every major redesign to the MacBook. You know, every time they just update the CPUs or the GPUs. I'm fine with that. I don't need to test it out for that reason. But whenever they do a design change, I like to buy them and try them out so I can formulate my own opinion with them. And I was very happy with it, but it was, $2,600 for the base model, and my iMac Pro is still working fine. And as you guys know, I work from home, so I don't really go on the go very much. So regardless, I was still on the fence about whether or not I wanted to keep the 16-inch MacBook Pro because I was seeing performance rival that of my iMac Pro on the base model. So regardless of whether or not I wanted to keep one, I was going to return that one anyway because it was the base model. I basically just ordered that one as quickly as I could when it first came out because I wanted to get it in the first wave of shipments. But I would have returned it even if I wanted to keep one because I probably would rather go for a higher tier one, probably max out the CPU and GPU, and maybe upgrade the RAM and storage a little bit. I don't think I would I don't think I would max out the RAM and storage. I'd probably get some middle tier, something like that. But yeah, I was very happy with it, and I'm still on the fence on whether or not I want to get one to actually keep and start editing on that instead of my iMac Pro. But it's hard to justify since the iMac Pro is doing so well. I can't really complain. It would mostly just be like, okay, now I can edit on the go, but where am I going? You know, it's like I edit here. This is where the good Wi-Fi is. So I guess I could edit out in public. Hey, my cousin Matt's in the chat. He said, "See you IRL." Yes, I will see you soon, Matt. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you later. We'll see you really, really soon. Atuo super chatted again. He said, "How about Amazon renewed iPhones?" Yeah, the thing I like about Amazon is they have a fairly across the board fair return policy of um, 30-day returns. I'm pretty sure even if it's not Prime eligible. So I feel like there's not that much risk involved. With eBay, there's a lot of like independent sellers where I feel less faith, where I have less trust, whereas the Amazon has that return process across the board. And I've had very good experience with the Amazon return process. Some people haven't, so I can understand that frustration. But for me at least, like if I bought something off Amazon and it wasn't very good or it wasn't as advertised, I just have that peace of mind that I can be like, okay, yeah, I'm just going to return this, get a refund real quick. Yes, of course. Epstein did not kill himself. Thank you for letting us know. Man, can we stop with the dated memes yet? Oh, I guess we gotta wait till 2020. EV channel plans for 2020. Lots more content to come. Lots more different kinds of content to come. I'm very excited because Tesla is just giving us a ton of stuff to talk about. And there's going to be a whole lot of different announcements and software updates in 2020 that I'm really pumped to get into. So yeah, I'm sure that there will just be a lot more of what you're getting, except better, and a lot more different kinds of content in 2020 as well. Let's see. Magic Send also asked thoughts on iOS 14. I have really no clue what they can do other than just listen to people's what are people asking for. I'm not really asking for much though. I mean, they redesigned the volume indicator. They let you change the camera resolution and frame rate from within the app. We got dark mode. I saw some people in the beginning of this live stream saying they would like always on display. I'm not really a big fan of those. Anytime I get one on an Android phone, it just kind of annoys me. I'm like, go off. I want the screen off. You know, I didn't even like the Series 5 Apple Watch with its always on display. It kind of annoyed me. But yeah, I don't know. I'll be interested. I think iOS 14 will be more performance efficiency based. I don't think it'll be very feature packed. They kind of go back and forth. Yeah, just polish everything. Exactly. Ethan, don't worry. I saw your super chat. I'm just trying to thoroughly answer everybody's. He says, just bought my first AirPods ever. Went with your advice and bought the second gen. Even if the pros do fit, they're not worth it to me. Still love it. Cool. Awesome. Glad you like them, Ethan. Amazing. I also do not like... I enjoy my AirPods Pro. There's situations where I prefer them, but there's still a lot of situations where I prefer having AirPods too. So that's why... gotta flex with both, obviously. What did your wife think about the clear case for the iPhone XR? Well, from what I remember, she was unimpressed with it. She was like, it's fine, but it's not $40 good. So I believe we returned it after that because we were like, it's not that great. I mean, we didn't use it that long term. We don't even have the XR anymore. We sold it. So let's see. iMac Pro or Mac Pro for your next editing machine? I'm pretty confident I will never buy the Mac Pro, the new one, the modular one. That one specifically. If they changed it in the future to give you a lot better bang for your buck, I would consider it. But in my mind, if you're in the budget of spending around $10,000 on your editing machine, then the Mac Pro is not worth it. I think that what you're paying for is the option to upgrade parts down the road. But the stupidity there is that we know Apple's going to be moving to their own custom CPUs soon. So those probably aren't even going to be compatible with the Mac Pro in the long term. So in my mind, it's not some people may disagree with me, but I would rather buy a computer that's overkill for my daily needs so that I know it will last me years and years and years versus buying a computer that I can buy more parts for later so that it can meet the demands in time, especially if that one that I can buy more parts for later is going to cost more. That's the backwards logic there because currently at any price match like Mac Pro versus iMac Pro, the iMac Pro is going to give you a better bang for your buck. So the only reason to go with the Mac Pro over the iMac Pro when you're looking at the same price margin, I understand that there are certain Mac Pros that are way higher than the maxed out iMac Pro. In that case, then, you know, if you need to spend 20 to 40, 50 grand on your computer, then great, you have an option for it now. I don't think I'm ever going to get there. I don't think with the content I produce, I'm ever going to need to spend that much on a machine. There is so many other things in my life that I would much rather invest in if I had that much income to just dispose on something. If anything, I would either wait for a new redesigned iMac Pro with better specs and thinner bezels. I'd be way more interested in an all-in-one desktop than I am a tower. I'm not really a big tower fan. Because I feel like most of the time, while you say like, well, I can upgrade it down the road, then you're still left with a lot of dated parts. And at the end of the day, it might just be easier to upgrade the whole machine altogether. And I don't really need to open things up and fix them. Some people like that. Some people want to be able to open up their machine and access all the slots and everything. I don't care. I just want it to do its job. And if it can do it well, then I'm happy. So what's more likely is if they redesign the iMac Pro and it looks really cool and it has good performance, I would switch to that. Or there's a chance that maybe they're not going to do that. Maybe they just keep neglecting the iMac line. If they do keep neglecting it, then I'll probably just get a maxed out 16-inch MacBook Pro. That one's very compelling to me. The performance and the specs you can get out of like a almost maxed out 16-inch MacBook Pro. I'm just talking about maxing out the CPU and GPU. I don't need to max out the RAM or the storage. That's just extra. The performance I can get out of that high-end model would easily surpass my base iMac Pro, so I would probably go with that well before I would even consider getting a Mac Pro. Because with Mac Pro money, I don't know, you can do a down payment on a house, you can buy a car. There's just if my budget for something was like, okay, I need to spend 20 grand or something, I'd be like, I'll just go with a car or a down payment on an investment property. That's a way better use of money than, yay, my export's a little faster, you know? That's a computer. That's not going up in value. I don't know. Garrett is in the chat, who's a YouTube member. Hey, Drew, how you been? Loving the recent videos and all the channels. Keep up the great work. Thank you. Appreciate that. Appreciate it very much. Thanks for tuning in, and thank you for your continued YouTube member support. Who would need the 8 terabytes of storage on the MacBook Pro? Oh, easily. A lot of people. With the cameras I'm live streaming with this right now, someone was asking earlier, this is a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, which records onto CFast cards. Do I have some of it? Yeah. They're not SD cards, which is why I don't care when a laptop's like, oh, but it doesn't have an SD card slot. I'm like, well, barely any laptop are going to have slots for these things. These can fill up incredibly quickly, especially if you're filming at 4K at 60. This is a 128 gig CFast card. My Blackmagic cameras fill this up with 14 minutes of footage. So you record for 14 minutes, instantly full. So when you're recording lots of different projects and you have lots of different channels like I do and you're offloading all this footage onto your computer, 8 terabytes, while it may seem like a lot for a laptop, and it is, that's the largest storage option you can get internally on a notebook, I would still fill that up in a matter of like a month or two. So right now I have 2 terabytes on my iMac Pro. I fill that thing up constantly. So if you're into that type of content production where you have very high resolution videos, 8 terabytes it'd be gone really quickly. I don't think I would get the 8 terabyte version of the MacBook Pro though, because a lot of YouTubers, I'm not sure why, they always like to save all of the RAW files. I don't know what they plan on doing with them. They're like, well, maybe I want to cut to that footage later in a future video, but I can understand that sometimes with B-roll, but not with every single video. I mean, there's a lot of videos YouTubers do where most of it is just them sitting, like, and just talking to the camera. And I'm like, okay, I do keep my finalized videos. Like, all the videos you see published, I have hard copies of those, because once you finish exporting them, the file size is incredibly small. A 14-minute YouTube video that I finish editing is not 128 gigs. That's like 10 gigs because it gets compressed and downscaled and published to YouTube and everything. It doesn't have to be the raw file size. I keep those. So if you want to cut back to old videos of yourself talking, you still have that. But this endless B-roll we all have that takes up hundreds and hundreds of gigs, terabytes sometimes, I don't get why YouTubers want to keep all that. I just erase it when I'm done with it because I know I'm never going to use it again. For the longest time, back when I started in the attic, I used to keep all my OG footage. I used to keep everything I ever recorded. But after a while, I realized, wait, I'm not using any of this. I keep saying in the back of my mind, well, maybe for some recap video, I want to go grab some old footage from a couple of years ago. But I realized, like, that was never happening. And if I needed it to happen, I would just go grab the original finalized video anyway. I didn't need the actual B-roll. So, yeah. Don't have the money for that. Make a petabyte storage like Linus Tech Tips, but use SSDs instead of hard drives. Yes. Despite everything I just described about why you don't need to store that much footage, just spend $10,000 to $20,000 on a RAID server. Great idea. Biggest tech innovation of the 2020s in your view? Well, I don't know. The 2020s haven't happened yet. But what do you want? Cybertruck? I don't know. Do you mean biggest tech innovation of this decade? Man, there's a lot to choose from. I mean, we had the Apple Watch, we had AirPods, we had the iPad. The iPad came out this decade. A lot of people forget that because it was so long ago. Do you really need 4K at 60 on a phone when it doesn't have a 4K screen in the first place? Yes, because we actually look at that footage on things outside of the phone. So, no, you don't just record videos on your phone and then watch them on your phone. Some people record videos and then edit them on other things and upload them that can be seen on TVs. Have you heard of AirPlay? A lot of us watch the content we record on other screens, not just the phone. So yes, if you don't plan on recording for other content or airplaying things you recorded onto TVs, then just don't record in 4K. That's why the camera has that option to record in 1080, not take up as much space. How did you think about the Stadia launch? It was typical Google. I was not surprised at all that Google did not think through a service and just decided. I had no faith in Stadia as soon as they said that to combat latency, we're going to use AI to try to guess players' movements before they make them. I was like, negative latency? Okay, Google. Oh no, I didn't mean to set off the device. Whatever. Yeah, I lost all faith in them with that, and it was like most Google services don't end up becoming a thing. The only services Google does that end up being successful are the ones they buy out, and they didn't buy out Stadia. That was just something they come up with. They're like, cloud streaming! But, of course, it flopped, and the performance of it is atrocious, and I kept asking myself, like, okay, we've seen cloud gaming before, but the issue is latency. How are you going to combat latency? And they're just like, don't worry about it. It'll be fine. I'm like, I don't think you're gonna do anything differently from everybody else, and I don't know why, but there were a bunch of people that were like, oh yeah, Stadia is gonna be totally different. It's actually gonna work because Google's really good about, software optimization. And I was like, really? Have you seen the Google Pixel? I don't. If anything I know from Google is that they think something's ready and it's not ready, and they're just going to launch it and then cancel it in 2 years. That's probably what's going to happen with Stadia. Is Apple going to make a cheap $800 MacBook for high school students? There's no leaks of that happening, but one of the videos I have pre-made that will come out while I'm away on my trip is about that very subject, about making a cheaper MacBook. Why hasn't it happened, or why potentially it could happen, and just kind of exploring the theories. Long story short, it basically comes down to if you don't want to spend $1,000 on a MacBook, Apple wants you to get an iPad. If your budget is $800, just get an iPad Pro, and that will cover basically anything you needed an $800 laptop to do. So, yeah. Let's see. What do you think of the Xiaomi Mi Note 10's 108 megapixel camera? Again, like, everyone is suddenly acting like megapixels matter again, which I'm confused by. I thought we established a couple years ago that the camera with the most megapixels is not the best camera. Like it all comes down to just the computational side of things. And I saw Marquez's video of him using the 108 megapixel camera, and I was like, yeah, I mean, it doesn't look great. It looks fine, but yeah, I'm not like shocked or amazed by that. I mean, like a while back we had um, years and years ago there was like a Microsoft phone with like a 40 megapixel camera, and it wasn't good. It's nowhere near as good as the 12 megapixel camera in our iPhones today, but I thought that was the whole lesson, you know? And it seems like we've all thrown that out now that the number's so high. Oh my god, 108 megapixels, we got to try that out. It's like that's not it's just pixels. That doesn't make it a good image. It just means you can zoom in on it a bunch. I don't know. Let's see. Are you wearing a Mint Mobile shirt? Explain. Yes. So Mint Mobile sent me out a Christmas box of all kinds of merch because they were so happy with my video. I'm not sponsored by them. They've still yet to pay me. In fact, I kind of would have been okay if Mint didn't send me any of this and just took whatever this costs and just gave it to me in service credit. But they sent me some cool stuff. I mean, a pen, which I don't use because I don't need to anymore. They sent me socks, which, I mean, they don't seem exciting, but I actually kind of needed new socks, so these are kind of festive and cool. They sent me a car freshener, which is sort of dope. So shout out to Mint for spoiling me. These little, are these beer holders of some kind? Yeah, you wrap these around your drink because they're too cold. They sent me this mug. Will these hold the mug? Will they stretch out that far? That'd be kind of a design flaw if they didn't. Yeah, they don't. I guess they're built for beer bottles. And they also, believe it or not, this kind of surprised me. Mint Mobile has their own, gum. Peppermint Mint Mobile Chews, which is a peppermint gum. Minty freshness for from Mint Mobile. I had no idea that Mint actually sold mint gum, which slid out right here. Here they are. So you can just pop these out. I don't even want to pop them out because this seems so like special. So yeah, mint gum. So I guess if you're a YouTuber and you make a video on Mint and they like it, then they will send you all this stuff. But no, they've still not like given me any service credit, so I don't get like a free year of service or anything, which I would have been a big fan of. If they gave me the choice, they were like, "Would you like a free year of service or a bunch of merch?" I would have been like, "Free year of service, please." But whatever. Ace Lucero Tech said your videos are very inspiring. Thank you very much. Thank you for watching them. I love this job. This is my dream job. I love doing it. It doesn't even feel like work. I feel like if I had all the money in the world, I would probably just be doing this. But the fact that you guys support me and watch allows me to continue doing this, which is awesome. So Ethan super chatted and said, thoughts on the supposed iPhone 12 Pro design? Okay, well, first of all, no one knows what the iPhone 12 looks like yet. It's way too early. Apple has not even finalized the design, so there's no design that anybody's aware of. We have running theories, but no one knows what it looks like yet, not even Apple. So far, I'm basically on board with, if you want to square off the edges a little bit, that's fine. I'm okay with that. I just want the biggest screen possible, and I'm just excited that there's a 6.7-inch iPhone coming because I want just bigger screen. Give me as big a screen as you can, and I'll be happy. I don't really care what the rest of it looks like. I don't care about camera modules that much. I really don't care about notches. Even if the notch didn't shrink, I wouldn't really mind. As long as I can get a bigger display, I'll be happy. But I don't. There's so many supposed 12 Pro designs that I don't know exactly what you're referring to as soon as you say supposed. So I don't know. Jake Parks, thank you for the super chat. He said, Apple Sheep, thank you for all you do. You're welcome. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. You make this all happen. So when did someone say the next iPhone will be called 12 and not the 11S from Nubish Expert? Yes, we just assume because, there was never a 7S, so it seems like the running, there's a bunch of form factor changes coming next year, which we know from Ming-Chi Kuo has a very reliable track record when it comes to screen sizes. I'd be very surprised if they decided to do, 4 OLED iPhones, a small one, a new 6.1-inch OLED in 2 different sizes, 2 Pros, a 6.7-inch size, and then call it an S. That doesn't sound like an S year to me. That sounds like a full number upgrade, which would coincide with what they did in the past. They did 6, 6S, 7. They didn't do 7S, then they just went straight to 8. And a lot of people were comparing the launch of the iPhone 11 and the 11 Pro to the iPhone 7 because it was a camera-oriented year where it wasn't a big design change. It was mostly just oriented around the camera, similar to the year of the iPhone 7. And every 3 years or so, they just kind of skip the S because the S kind of stands for it's the same looking phone. It just has some performance enhancements. So that's why I don't think it's going to be called 11S because they're not going to look like it. And Apple doesn't want to orient their brand new, squared off edge design and the new screen sizes and the new OLED displays and the smaller form factor. They don't want to label that as 11S because then people will think that, oh, it's just the 11, just a little bit different. But it's like, no, no, no. This is a big design overhaul. That's why they're calling it a 12. That's our guess. Why does your channel pop up when we type Apple Sheep on YouTube? Well, it's because that's one of the things YouTube does correctly. I am the Apple Sheep. You can search it on Google as well. I'm the result because I kind of embraced that word because a lot of people were calling me that before my channel took off. A lot of people just kept saying, you're an Apple Sheep. And I just wanted to say, yes, I am. You're not insulting me when you say that. That's not a word I'm trying to gloss over and trying to ignore. I'm just embracing the meme at this point. So I just started labeling myself in all my videos as Apple Sheep. And because of that, and my videos took off, YouTube and Google see me as Apple Sheep. So when you Google that or search that, I'm going to be the result. Ethan Super Chatted says, imagine using this year's name scheme with S. God. Yeah, it would be bad. I don't like the S years mostly in the naming scheme. It's always weird. 11S Pro Max. Yeah, that would not roll off the tongue though. I have a friend who wants to purchase the iPhone SE2 next year if it gets released. He currently has a 7. Is it worth upgrading? Yeah, it should be. You're going from an A10 chip to an A13 chip. You are losing 3D touch, but you're gaining wireless charging. You're getting better stereo speakers. You're getting better water resistance. And yeah, like I said, a much faster CPU, and probably much better cameras, and probably a better battery life. The A13 chip is pretty power efficient. So going from, if you've been using an iPhone 7 for a while, the battery's probably gotten worse a little bit over time. But EMD Super Chatted says, any changes to MKBHD Smartphone Awards? Big fan. I've been so preoccupied with family and planning for this trip, I haven't actually seen the video, but I am aware that the OnePlus 7 Pro got Best Smartphone of the Year, I believe. Unless someone's trolling me. But I saw OnePlus tweet about how they won Best Smartphone of the Year, which was what I was expecting. I figured that phone would probably win because it was affordable, and I liked it too. That deserved it. But obviously, if you're asking the Apple Sheep, I would just say, yeah, iPhones get all the awards. They get all the awards because iPhone's best, and I'm an Apple Sheep, whatever. Glad you're going out, Drew. Need some vitamin D. Thank you. I know. I'm very pale. I'm hoping to change that. No, I'm not. I think the only hardware Google needs to focus on is Nest. They bought Nest for billions of dollars, and the only reason Nest had been successful because they didn't make it. Yeah, exactly. Google is very good at throwing money at things. YouTube. We all like YouTube, but they didn't make it. They bought it. Same with Nest, Nest was very popular, and Google threw money at it. Usually whenever Google does something uniquely their own, I'm not that big a fan of it. So Apple never wins awards for repairability. No, they don't, and yet they have the highest customer satisfaction. So what does that say? Did you see the banner on Apple support Twitter page that everyone thought was a notchless iPhone? Yeah, I don't. It kills me how gullible some people can be. But, what makes them think they would accidentally just tweet out their cover photo with... But, it was obvious, the notch was there. You could see it. So I don't know why people were getting so pumped about it. Mac Pro base model with 240 gigs. Why does Apple do stuff like this? They must always find a way to ruin a great product. Well, I complained about that too, but then a bunch of Apple sheep, darn you guys, a bunch of Apple sheep got on my case that, well, Drew, there's actually a bunch of people that are going to be connecting this thing to server storage via Ethernet anyway, or they're going to be using these as a big server and they just need the CPUs and GPUs, so they don't really care how much storage it comes with because they're going to be using their own storage they already are going to plug into. So as soon as I complain about the low storage option, I instantly get a lot of people that are saying, no. It would be stupid for you to ship it with 1 terabyte across the board because these are meant for servers, and for a lot of people, they don't need a lot of storage, so it's meant to be modular and yada yada. So I don't know. People got mad at that. So I thought it was dumb. I'm with you, but I just figured it's $6,000. I'm not. This is $5,000, and I get a screen and speakers, and it all comes in one thin package with the iMac Pro. For $1,000 more, I feel like I should get a terabyte of SSD regardless. Like if you're shipping it with 256 gigs, it should be less than $5,000, but it's not. So, um, hey Drew, why is your Twitter banner the way it is? It's funny. Well, you just answered your own question. My Twitter banner is chonk, big chonk, because it is funny. That's why. There you go. Where are you going and for how long? I am going up to visit my family, which are out of state. No, I'm not going to tell you the exact latitude and longitude, but it's not nearby. So I'll be traveling for a little bit. But the good news is there's videos that are coming out that I've been working on for the past 5 weeks. So I'm repeating myself a little bit here. Sorry for the people who've been watching this whole stream, but basically, starting on December 26th in 2 days, you will get a video every weekday. No videos on the weekends, but there were scheduled videos that are going to come out at 8 a.m. on the weekdays. So Thursday, Friday, and then Monday through Friday of next week, you're all going to still get videos. And then hopefully I should be back after that. So yeah, it'll be gone for a couple weeks. I'm going to a secret Mars base. That is correct. Um, do you refrain from speaking about politics on your channels? Yeah, I try to. I don't like getting into that because it feels like there's never a winner or anything productive gained at. Anytime there's political debates, everyone just gets mad and angry at each other. And because there's a lot of divisiveness on the internet, I know that whatever political statement I bring up, it's just going to tick off half of my audience anyway. So my idea is just to ignore it. Just don't partake in it. There's enough people talking about politics as it is. We don't need more of that. I would rather just be the tech channel. We can talk about tech because I feel like tech is much more positive and optimistic and uplifting because it feels like it's a battle of who can be better. So at the end of the day, we all win. Like it's is the iPhone better this year or is the Galaxy better this year? And they kind of compete back and forth. But at the end of the day, it's always getting better. Mostly, it's always improving, and we're seeing how cheap tech is becoming better and more expensive tech is becoming better. And just why do we got to bring politics in? Everyone just gets angry. If there were healthy, happy ways to talk about politics, I would gladly do that. But I've not been proven that the internet is a good place for that. So why bother? Why bring it up? Weird question, but are 120 FPS displays compatible with Macs or no, since they're not really gaming machines? Yes, they are. This monitor right here that I have on my desk that's hooked up to my iMac Pro is a Predator monitor from Acer, and I can get 165 hertz with Mac OS. So yeah, to answer your question, Mac OS does support higher refresh rate displays, and I use one every day. I love it. I can see the difference. Not everyone can. But you can go way over 120 hertz with Mac OS, just not on any of their native displays they design. You just have to use external ones. Let's see. What new features do you anticipate for the Apple Watch Series 6 next year? Oh, that's the tough one. I keep trying to think to myself, what can they do with the Apple Watch? I mean, honestly, they'll probably do some type of health features, but I really don't care about those. Like, the three things I can think of is glucose monitoring, blood pressure, and sleep tracking. But none of those I would use because I'm not diabetic. I don't need to check my blood pressure regularly, and I already sleep poorly. I don't need a watch to tell me that I'm sleeping poorly. And there's been sleep tracking apps for iPhones for years and watches for years, so I don't know what building it in natively to the watch would help with. And I feel like that's a software feature. I don't think they would need that for hardware wise. Like the Series 6 can do sleep tracking, but not the Series 5. Like I don't get what the difference would be. But my only wish is that if you want me to get excited for the next gen Apple Watch, do something with the design, which I know is going to be tough because the Series 4 and 5 design is already so good and it's already so solid. I'm very happy with my Series 4. But if they found a way to somehow make the bezels thinner, I don't know even how they could do it, but if they found a way, that's how you'd get me excited. That's pretty much the only way to get me excited for a new Apple Watch. Bigger screen, same footprint, thinner bezels, even though the bezels are already fairly thin. Like, if you can go thinner, I'll be excited. But until then, there's not really much to get pumped for. I'm not like if you're diabetic and you could utilize those blood pressure and glucose monitoring stuff, that's great. I'm happy for you, but I'm not going to buy a watch just for that. That's a dumb reason to upgrade, especially if it looks exactly the same. Do you think that the Mac Pro can handle gaming well? I doubt it. I mean, it has Intel Xeon processors, which are very much not good for gaming. I know that from my iMac Pro. And I like immediately switching over to the 16-inch MacBook Pro and trying to play games on that. It was already like miles better, even though it was the base MacBook Pro. It's just that Intel Xeons are not designed for that type of use. But if you're buying a Mac Pro, I doubt you're doing it for gaming. If you want a gaming rig, you can get a very nice gaming PC for 6K, all right, or much less. So do not buy a Mac Pro for gaming. Don't buy any Mac for gaming. That's a stupid reason. What is your chair? I would love to know so I could see if I could afford one. It's the PewDiePie chair. Obviously, has no one ever heard of PewDiePie? It's $399, which is a great price. Can your chair do this? Because I can sleep in mine. Very comfortable. Very comfortable. Future of HomePod, HomePod Pro, or the other way around? Yeah, I don't think they need a HomePod Pro. I think the HomePod they have already is pretty pro as it is. I think what they need is a cheaper one, which Bloomberg did report on. So I'm hoping for that. I'm hoping we get a HomePod Mini or whatever, like a $150 version of the HomePod or something like that. But do you think Apple will eventually switch to a two-year Apple Watch release cycle? I wouldn't be shocked if they did. I thought they were going to do that this year, but they didn't with the Series 5. I really did. I thought, like, they can do something with the Apple Watch every year, but they don't need to do a new model. You know, they don't need to add a number. I think something they could have done instead of the Series 5 is maybe, like, make some version of the Series 4 that's more affordable. Like, just make a cheaper version of the Series 4 and then just keep selling the regular Series 4 at its typical price point. But, yeah, I do plan on buying the 6.7-inch iPhone next year. Pretty much every year I buy the biggest iPhone I can. I've been doing that ever since I've bought iPhones. It's like, whichever one has the bigger screen, give me that one. Because I got big hands. So the larger screen I can get, the happier I'll be. What new market would you like to see Apple get into? A better question is, what market would I not want to see Apple get into? Because I love Apple's ideology and I love their quality and attention to detail with their products. I just want them to do everything. I don't care. Light bulbs, refrigerators, microwaves. Not that I would get those. They'd probably be really expensive. But I just want them to do everything. But some of the top ones I would request are dedicated cameras. You know, iPhone cameras are really, really good, but they're never going to be as good as dedicated studio cameras because computational videography and photography are getting just as good on those major cameras as they are on iPhones. So as long as iPhones are getting better, I'm sure DSLRs, like, you could not pull out the image I'm live streaming with right now. You could not get this with an iPhone. You just, the ports and the hardware aren't there. I mean, you could take pictures maybe that are comparable, but it's just not there. So I would heavily request a dedicated camera that just has AirDrop built into it with their smooth UI and everything. I would love a camera made by them, but another big one that would be really interesting is a car. I don't think I would want to buy it because if Apple made a car, it would probably be a lot like the Porsche Taycan. It'd be like $180,000 and it would be super high-end luxury, but not for the masses. But I just want Apple and Tesla to compete with each other. I think that would be interesting. I think I would go with Team Tesla. I personally don't think Apple would stand a chance. But if Apple did want to make a car and they partnered with Tesla so that the Apple car could charge from the Tesla supercharging network, which Tesla is open for, by the way, just no one's taken them up on it. If Apple was like the first company to take them up on it, they might have a chance, maybe, but they're still going to end up having to buy batteries from Tesla in the process. So, not that I think Apple's going to make a car. I mean, there's a lot of patents and a lot of development behind the scenes. I still think it's mostly for research purposes. I don't think they're actually going to release one. I think that would be really cool if they did, though. That'd be fascinating. I'd love to be able to talk about Apple on the tech channel and the EV channel. Because Apple and Tesla share so many design ideologies and they share so much of the same, like, you know, we want to have a cleaner future, and then of course it would be electric, and Apple would, it feels like if Apple did make a car, it would be the Tesla, but you know, Apple doesn't make the Tesla. So I'm very curious to see what, if Apple made their own car, what would they do differently and how much would they do similarly. How can we get you sponsored by Apple? Well, sadly, you can't. I don't think Apple sponsors any channel. There's a few channels they work with and they give products to early, but they don't pay them anything. But I don't want to be paid by Apple. I just want them to send me free stuff. I'd be happy with that. Thoughts on other YouTubers getting the Mac Pro and XDR for free from Apple? Do you want to get sponsored by them? If you count that as a sponsorship, I mean, I guess it depends on the definition. Usually, when a YouTuber says this is a sponsored video, it means that brand has paid for this video. Usually, you don't call it a sponsorship if they just sent you something for free. I don't consider that a sponsorship. Maybe some of you do, but you have to be a certain size. You kind of have to know someone on the inside. I am not that size as those big YouTubers that get that stuff early, and I'm probably not at a old enough age that they would consider working with me. Like I don't. They've worked with a lot of YouTubers, but I don't know any of them that are only 21. So I'd be rather shocked if they wanted to work with a 21-year-old on that kind of stuff. What is the future of iPhone? Ooh, good question. Probably a lot of thinner bezels. that's it. That's all you can expect. They're gonna work on thinning down those bezels a little bit. You're gonna just refinement. That's what the next 10 years of iPhone is going to be. Honestly, if you want to get excited for tech, don't dwell on the iPhone. It's not going to change that much. Sorry, I hate to break it to you. The notch might get a little smaller. It's not going to be a big deal when it goes away. We act like it is, but we would use our phone exactly the same way. The phones might get slightly thinner. The batteries might get a little better. That's about it. I just, like, if you're excited for tech and you want some big breakthrough in 2020, like the next decade, it's not going to be in smartphones. Smartphones have kind of peaked already. Hate to break it to you, but you're not going to see a bunch of giant innovations in the smartphone world. There's going to be gimmicks like the foldable stuff, but at the end of the day, it's just going to be camera, battery, display. How can we make that a little bit better? What are your thoughts on the 2 times iPhone releases in a year? Didn't I do a video on that? Yeah, I thought I did. The biannual iPhone releases? Well, in case you missed that video, I'm not a fan of that idea because I want it to be a once a year type thing. As soon as you start releasing phones twice a year, you start losing the hype for both, and both start to feel a little bit left out. It doesn't feel like a big deal. Like Samsung does it twice a year, OnePlus does it twice a year, and all of them always feel kind of eh. They always feel kind of like, oh yeah, well this borrowed a few things from that phone they released 6 months ago. It also completely destroys the resale value of your phone when there's a new one coming out every 6 months. So I acknowledge that there's a lot of benefits that would come along with it that a lot of people would probably be fans of. But I did a whole video with the pros and cons versus biannual iPhone releases. So yeah, I know everyone's freaked out. I'm 21. I'm 21. Yeah. I actually do look very young as soon as I shave. The only reason you guys look at me and think, oh, he's probably 26 or 27 is because of the beard. As soon as I shave, I look 14. But I don't want to look 14, so I'm not going to shave. But no, yo. Don't be saying that. Don't bring that up. It's not just a number. Tesla is not as good to the nature and people are fooled to believe. The production of Teslas alone is way more toxic than people are fooled to believe. Okay, Elvin, keep buying your gas cars. That's much cleaner for the environment. I'm not going to try to argue with that because that's a whole can of worms, but it's cleaner than typical cars, okay? Look up local pollution. That all happens from ICE cars. No, Teslas are not perfectly clean for the environment, but no car is. No, nothing is. Nothing you can do is perfectly clean for the environment. Every time you fart, you add to global warming, as does cattle. Follow-up question. Wouldn't common products made by Apple cheapen their brand like Xiaomi and make them lose focus? Maybe it would, but I don't care. I just want more products to be like, I don't have to come up with a new account. I don't have to have another email. I don't have to have another password. The more categories Apple gets into, the less passwords I have to remember, the more I can secure those apps with Face ID, the more I can just use one password and one email for everything, and that just simplifies my life. And Apple's very good at making things just simple and easy to set up and understand. So I don't care. Maybe they lose focus a little bit. Maybe that cheapens the quality. Who gives a crap? Just let them do it. I don't care. Um, you've been watching you for 4 to 5 years. Never have I ever. Yeah, go back. I've always been honest about my age. I've never lied about that. I think if you Google Tailosive Tech age, it'll take you to a tweet of my license where it shows my birthday and everything. So it's like I'm not joking. I'm not lying. You got married at 21? No, I got married over a year ago. I was married at 20. Yes, I'm aware I was incredibly young to get married. A lot of people question that, but I don't care because I'm extremely happy with my wife. She's made me into a better person, and I strive to be a better person as I'm married to her. And we've grown so much as a couple in the past year. We've learned a lot about each other, and we've matured in so many ways that I don't regret it in the slightest. There's 0% regret in me getting married that young, and I honestly wish I would have gotten married sooner. I waited too long. Anyway, Tyler Woodson, thank you for the super chat. Here's for your hard work in making tech videos that are funny and educational at the same time. Should I get the Apple Watch 3 in 2019 or save up? Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that, Tyler. And I don't feel like I'm putting in hard work into videos because it's fun. I enjoy doing this for fun. I would say it's not a bad idea to get a Series 3 in 2019, but just don't get it from Apple. Find a good sale. Find some post Christmas or Christmas Day sale or something. I don't know. Just if you're gonna go with an older product in 2019, then find a really, really good deal. Go on Amazon. They usually have some good sales, or Best Buy might have something like that. If you can get like 20% off retail price, and I think that would be under $200. Like if you can find a Series 3 for like 150 or 160, then sure, yeah, I don't think you're missing out on too much. I mean, obviously the Series 4 is better, but also if you're willing to spend that kind of money on a Series 3, go look around at some Series 4 sales, because maybe for the same price as what you're willing to pay for a Series 3, you can find a Series 4. Get a Series 4 if you can. But if you can't find a good deal on one, then yeah, whatever. Do you expect a good Pixel 4a? That's the thing. A lot of people ask about that. A lot of people are like, so is there going to be a 4A? But whenever I ask them what it would have, they can't think of anything. I'm always like, what do you think they would do with a Pixel 4A? And everyone's like, uh, uh, no face unlock or air gestures. Does it still have a dual camera? No. This one just has one camera. So you want a Pixel 3A with what exactly? What are you changing about the 3A? Like, anytime someone pitches to me a Pixel 4A, it's basically just a 3A. Maybe with an updated Snapdragon chip. I don't know. Are you buying the Galaxy Fold to review? They're very hard to get your hands on. I haven't actually checked because you can't get them shipped to you, so it's way more difficult. Um, let me look, because I wasn't particularly excited to get the Galaxy Fold, so I wasn't constantly checking Best Buy site. But I'm gonna be heading out of town anyway, so I'm not gonna be picking this up regardless. Shop Fold. Let me see if there's one nearby. Check availability. Store pickup only. There's only one left in store, and you have to get it on a 30-month contract. Ew. What about unlocked? So if I order it now, they will have it ready in a couple weeks. No, I'm not doing that. I'm going to be out of town. So I guess they're becoming slightly more available, but... Oh, that's with activation today. That's not unlocked. I would have to activate it with AT&T. Ew. Okay. Well, they're still pretty difficult to get your hands on, but I don't want to activate it today. I want to activate it later. Well, they don't have them in stock where I am, so whatever. Whoa! I don't know. Eli, the kind of not funny person. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Appreciate it. Happy to hear that. Glad you guys are happy, Drew. We're very happy. Yes, we're going very well. And in all honesty, like, no joke here, no exaggeration, I've never been happier in my life. Like, with just family and friendships and just my relationship with my wife. Like, I can't think of another time in life where I felt as content and as, like, satisfied with the way my life is going. It's going wonderfully. When are you doing a face reveal? When we hit 1 million subscribers, I will show you my face, of course. How is Mint Mobile? Pretty good so far. I just got back from another 2-day road trip, and I used it the whole time. And it worked pretty good. It worked fine. I thought for a second it was glitching out on me because I was sending pictures through iMessage and it was not delivering. And I was like, uh-oh, Mint's having problems. Uh-oh, stinky. But it turned out iMessage was bugging for everybody, and no one was able to send screenshots. So it was actually an issue with iMessage servers, not Mint Mobile. And it only lasted for like an hour. So after the hour was gone, it was fine, and then I could send text. And I was like, oh, okay. So yeah, I was doing great. It's been doing fine so far. They've been spoiling me with all this merch. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but we've got the socks, we've got the mint chewables, we've got the mints. Talked about the socks, the beer bottles, the mug. They sent me a pen, sticky notes, which I never use. I've got a bunch of Mint Mobile sticky notes where the fox is riding a unicorn and he says, "Express yourself." So thanks, Mint, for sending me all this. They're I'm gonna feel very, very bad now if I switch carriers. So let's see. Love your vids. Hope you have an awesome 2020. Thank you, you guys. You too. Thank you for the super chat. And as we're coming near the end of today's live stream, I just wanted to say this to each and every one of you, even those of you who may not be watching this live. I just want to say I'm extremely grateful for all of you watching, super chatting, Twitch priming, whatever you do. It allows me to have this amazing job, which honestly does not feel like a job because I'm just doing what I love. I love making content. I love talking about tech. And the fact that I get to do this professionally is just one of the greatest honors and one of the most grateful things I could ever be joyous about in my life. And I have you guys to thank for that, because if you weren't watching or if you weren't super chatting or whatever, this wouldn't be something I could do professionally, and this would be something I would have to do in my spare time, like I did for a long time. I started doing YouTube videos over 10 years ago, so still, most of my life I did YouTube. I was not paid for it at all. It's only been the last 3 or 4 years I've been actually paid to do YouTube, and I'm just so incredibly grateful. I can't thank you guys enough. So that's why I'm willing to put in the extra hours. Because it's so easy for me. It's just so much fun to work a little bit longer so that you guys get content even while I'm away. So first scheduled video while I'm gone is going to come out on Thursday, and then every weekday for the next couple of weeks you're going to be getting content. And that includes the new channel redesign of 2020. So for those who don't know, this is a long-running tradition in the Tailosive Network. Every January 1st at midnight, not always midnight, but around January 1st, I try to update all the profile pictures, all the cover photos. I update all the intros and outros for the channel. There's some new designs. There's some new artwork I'm really excited for you guys to see. We've been working on them for a long time, and they've already been uploaded, so the videos are done and completed, and I hope you enjoy them. And I'll be signing off here. I'm going to miss you guys. I like interacting with you, but I'm hoping to kind of disconnect a little bit from this trip. I'll still have internet, so I'll be a little bit connected, but I'll miss you all. I love interacting with you. I love these live streams. And Kevin Ott, last super chat of the day. What are your thoughts on the Xbox Series X? It seems promising. I think the design's a little weird. I wonder how it's going to fit in a lot of people's, TV stand and whatnot, but yeah, I'm curious how the performance is going to be. It seems fairly promising, but knowing it's not coming out for like another year means that I'm not really sure what to say about it other than just it looks weird. It looks bizarre. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate all of you. Oh, sorry. We have one more super chat. Okay. Nick Blue YT says thoughts on Kadleka Escalade 2021 my IG. Okay. You're shouting out your IG. Thank you for the super chat. I have no idea what you're asking about. Escalade 2021. No clue. I'm sorry. I'm not going to pretend I know what you're asking about, so I'm just going to say I have no clue. But I appreciate the super chat regardless, and we're wrapping up here. So I hope you all have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and I will see you all next decade. Next decade? How often does that happen? Oh, another one. Clint, last super chat. You're amazing. Keep doing what you do. Thank you. You guys are amazing. I'm not amazing. I have bad hair and psoriasis, but I appreciate all of you guys watching my ugly face. I will keep videos coming. You will see them more soon. Anyway, take care, everyone. Bye-bye. Merry Christmas.